Real stories, raw truth. This is Whiskey and War Stories.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of Whiskey and War Stories, a podcast where we sit down with those who've lived through the unspoken battles on the front lines, behind the badge, and deep within themselves. This is where raw truth meets resilience and where every story is poured straight, no chaser. Whether it's combat trauma, the weight of the job, scars that don't show up on paper, or the strengths that don't make headlines, we're here to talk about it. No filters, no fluff, just real people, real pain, and the strength it takes to keep going. So pour yourself something strong, settle in, and let's get into it. Ryan, what's up, brother? How are you?
Hi, man. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, man.
Yeah,
To Season 3, Episode 4. I feel like we've been hitting it pretty hard. I like it.
that's good. Yeah, we had some good content.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Been excited to help put it out.
Perfect. So as is customary, we dedicate every episode to a fallen hero, and we toast to a different whiskey label every episode. In this episode, Ryan has the honors.
All right. So I think on my first episode, I had a special bottle of Redbreast, which I got in Ireland. And I referred to the regular 15-year pot still, which is my favorite. So featuring this quick story, which Hyman knows about. First time I tried this was in 2014. One of our brothers on the SWAT team was murdered during a search warrant. A few weeks later, we had the honor of honoring him at his funeral, and a citizen on 2nd Street gifted us this bottle, and everyone of the SWAT team, the day was over, took a swig from the same bottle, and it just tasted special that day. So one of my favorites, very flowery notes, kind of. Really good, little sweet, so kind of a smoother sipping whiskey. So that's what I'll be using today.
Nice.
As far as our dedication, this one is dedicated to something that happened August 8th. Police officer David Rose was shot and killed while responding to an active shooter at a CVS near a CDC in Atlanta. That is Center for Disease Control. Around 5 p.m., the suspect fired at the CDC building before turning his guns at arriving officers. Officer Rose was fatally wounded and died at the nearby hospital. Another officer was injured but survived. The suspect was later found dead inside the CVS. They usually take the cowardly way out during these situations. He was a U.S. Marine Corps veteran, the officer was, and Officer Rose had served with the DeKalb County Police Department for 11 months. Rookie. He is survived by his pregnant wife and 2 children. So thank you for your ultimate sacrifice, Officer
Cheers,
Rose.
brother. Yeah,
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm drinking a bottle of McKenna, aged 10 years. One of my partners at work, Blair Hornby, gifted this to me. And I think we actually had it on an episode previously, but it's so good that it deserves a second introduction.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get on to our special guest here. So I'll put this up here. So our special guest is Jose Pila. Jose is an Army veteran, entrepreneur, MBA graduate, and doctoral student in finance with a passion for service and storytelling. He's the founder of Warrior Dog Spirit, a whiskey brand that honors military and first responder canines and supports veterans through service dog programs. Inspired by his late humility and compassion, Jose blends academic insight, business expertise, and a mission to give back to those who've served on both ends of the leash. And we're really honored to introduce Jose. What's up,
I'm
brother? How
honored
are
to
you?
be here. Good. How are you guys?
We're great, man. I appreciate
good.
you jumping on the podcast, brother. How are
No, I
you?
appreciate the invite, man. I was excited about it when one of my advisors on our advisory board told me about the whiskey and war stories. I was like, man, I got to do something like that. This is, we make whiskey. Most of us are vets. I think it was a good combination, and I wanted to jump on. And I appreciate the invite. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people like yourself are like our ideal guests. Veterans that have been there, walk the walk, talk the talk, and now you're really trying to give back to the community through, um, through Warrior Dog and a lot of the advocacy that you do. So, we really appreciate you coming on here, brother.
The advocacy started a long time ago, prior to Warrior Dog Spirits. I was honored to be part of founder of a nonprofit organization that helped veterans get housed in LA County, San Bernardino County, called 10 Hut, back in 2017. And then prior to that, I did a lot of social work. I worked for nonprofits all around LA County, from Volunteers of America to PATH, People Assisting the Homeless, in their various supportive services that they provided for the veteran community in and around LA County, San Bernardino County. But that passion stems more from my own experience separating from the military, and but that's where it started. But this venture is it's a lot different than what I've been used to with nonprofit work, and I love it though.
I'm sure. And that's kind of a great way to segue. Tell us about let's start from the beginning. Tell us about your military service, your brand in, how did your time in the service fare out for you?
It was well, I was in the Army. I was 82nd Airborne, for those watching. I was a paratrooper for a while, and for me, I mean, if you want to start from the beginning, I actually wasn't born here. I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. I'm an immigrant from immigrant parents, and born and raised born in Guadalajara, raised in Baldwin Park, Azusa, Southgate, those areas. And I didn't really have any other option but the military. I was a bit of a hardhead when I was growing up. And I honestly despised school. It wasn't for me. So when I joined the military, it was kind of like all right, it's either this or I end up in a gang, and so I decided to join the military in the buddy program. One of my buddies from high school wanted to join with me, or we wanted to join together. And at the last minute, he just happened to not go with me. And I was already on the bus or on the car going to MEPS. So I ended up going alone. And then I don't think I attribute a lot of my discipline after military service to the military. So because after I got out of the military, one of the major reasons why I left the military was because I was an infantryman, and I just felt dumb. Like I don't know. I felt like a grunt. So when I got out, I started going to school, and I never stopped. And I attribute that to the military too. So I'm just a lifelong learner right after that. Although I had struggles after the military, transitioning back, because I did do some deployments into the Middle East, a lot of deployments into the Middle East as in the military, and then after as a private contractor.
How many years were you in the Army?
I served for 8 years. And
Okay.
Yeah, and then I after that I went in as a private contractor. Worked for a company called Constellas, Triple Canopy, and
I'm familiar
even
with it.
then, I never stopped going to school. I got my MBA, and then just never stopped.
Now you said you did some tours overseas during your experience in the Army, and obviously everybody has their different experiences. But were you subjected to post-traumatic stress as a result of your deployments or stuff that you experienced during your time in the service? And can you talk a little bit about that and maybe how it affected you?
I did. It was that hypervigilance never leaves you. Being in different combat situations out in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places I've been. That hypervigilance never, especially when you're constantly getting mortared in your FOB or but I was always one of those guys that try to make light of a lot of things. I know this is Whiskey and War Stories, so here's a whiskey, and I'm gonna tell you a story.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's what we like.
But it's gonna be a funny story, and those people that are watching, I know you want to hear like the no shit there I was, but I always like to make light of things when I was in. I was kind of like a jokester. So on one of the deployments when we were in Iraq, one of our guys, you get care packages. You're excited. It's like fucking Christmas all the time when you get care packages. One of our guys got a care package, and had just gone out of the shower, and I'm walking into our tent, and this guy's holding up like a red string on his hand, and he's just waving it, And sorry for your female watchers, I'm sorry. But he's holding up this red thing in his hand, and then I walk in, and I don't know what's going on, and I yank it out, and it happened to be a thong. So I'm in a towel, and I decide to fuck it. This would be funny if I just put this thing on and walk into our leadership tent right next door to our team leader's tent, and just sit there, with the thong on, nothing else on. My flip flops are on, and hey, what's going on? What are we doing today? Anyway, needless to say, I got smoked for that day, but and then
Sounds like some of the.
They kicked me out of the tent, then I start running around the FOB. This is FOB San Michael. I start running around the FOB in a thong, and imagine this 6 foot, 200 and some pound Mexican running around with red thong. Anyways,
I'm laughing because it sounds exactly like some of the tactical teams Jaime and I have been on.
Yeah. Very
type
much
of camaraderie and shenanigans going on.
I did get called in by our battalion commander, and he didn't. The basic conversation was, "Thank you for keeping morale up," and I was like, you know what? it was fun.
And it's funny that you said that you're a jokester. Looking back in retrospect, do you think that was a coping mechanism?
Yeah.
To deal with some of the trauma, some of the traumatic stuff that I'm sure you've been through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, especially when you're in that particular FOB, you're getting mortared all the time. You're getting, you're in constant missions. You're going out the wire. You're hearing teams get into contact. You're getting into contact yourself. So it's like a coping mechanism, trying to forget where you're at and make the best of what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't have a degree in psychology or therapy or counseling, but I do know that laughter is, it's definitely a powerful tool and definitely certainly a powerful coping mechanism, to deal with, issues like that.
It's like us, Jaime, with cops. We have one of the most sinister sense of humors you'll ever find. Like I said, me and Jaime, some of the teams we've been on, no comparison to the stuff you guys have seen out in combat, but we've been in some pretty hairy situations. But every single warrant me and Jaime rolled up on, it's never like tense. There's always someone messing around or saying a joke, and it's just part of our character. And I do think it's a coping mechanism, but it didn't feel that way. It just felt fun at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have to process things in a especially when you're in those high tense situations, and
absolutely.
And I know that you guys do it, like, man, constantly. I appreciate y'all's service out here too, and commend it. But it, like Jaime mentioned, you got to figure out how to cope. And if you have one or two individuals in a team that are helping you do that in that way, it just makes it fun, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is there a certain memory or a certain experience that really sticks out in your mind, Jose? That one of those things that it's a recurring, it's one of those incidents that you can't get out of your mind. And I have a couple, both from military service and from my time as working in law enforcement for nearly 20 years. Is there a certain incident that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, I have a constant. Well, it is a constant nightmare of mine, and it used to be like audible, where I can hear it, where over the radio you hear contact, and a couple of the times it was this person down, this like we've lost somebody,
right?
And that's a reoccurring nightmare for me, where I wake up hearing this radio chatter.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's through years of therapy, I've learned that it's interesting how the mind works, really complex almost, that a certain sound that subconsciously we don't think about, or even a certain smell that you come across reminds people of, I know, like fuel will remind people of, the fuel from the Humvees, and certain smells, and, certain noises, and certain things that just brings you right back, almost to that moment.
Yeah. The jet fuel, because we used to jump out of C-130, C-17, C-5s, and that jet fuel smell. I don't know if you've ever gone to on a trip where you have to, you're out on the tarmac, and you're not in the terminal. You have to exit through like the stairs, and then you have to follow this this yellow brick road into the terminal you're going on a vacation, and you exit the plane differently than what you normally do, and you smell that jet fuel. That jet fuel brings me back, man.
Yeah. I mean, for us, and I don't know how the Army was, but the Marine Corps, everything is like hurry up and wait. So, before we get deployed, we'd be at, March Air Force Base, and they said, hey, you're going to leave at 4 p.m. today. We wouldn't end up leaving it till 4 p.m. like the next 3 days later. And we're just sitting on the tarmac, and it's like, it's just a typical Marine thing. Hurry up and wait. And,
we in an airborne unit, you're out of green ramp, waiting for clearance. Either the skies are being shitty or whatever, and we constantly face that hurry up and wait, man. And then you're also in gear, dude. So they pre-jump you like way in advance. So the risers are like pushing down on your traps, on your nutsack. Like Yeah, dude. So you're sitting on the green ramp trying to get into the tarmac, so you just get this jump over, and you're waiting there for like 2, 4, 5 hours until they get clearance from this. Oh, we need clear skies or the winds to die down a little bit. And I'm like, why don't you just nix the entire jump, man? And they're like, no, we put in too much time into this. You're waiting like 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm fortunate that I like to stay on the ground, so
I did too.
To jump out of an airplane. I don't think I really ever wanted to.
Bro, when I joined the military, I was petrified of heights, man. I'm still petrified of heights. Like I joined the military on a fluke, dude. I joined the airborne unit on a fluke because I wasn't paying. I was looking when I graduated basic training. I was looking for my parents, so I wasn't paying attention to what the drill instructors were saying right at graduation. Right. So I was like trying to look around and trying not to move my head, but look around and see if I saw my folks and they were saying something like raise your hand if you want to go to da 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 da.
Right.
So I saw my buddy right next to me raise his hand, so I was like, oh yeah.
Me too.
I rolled my hand, and they're taking like accountability of everybody. All right, you're going. And next thing you know, after that, they're like, all right, you're signed up. And then they bus us into they shuffle us into a bus that goes into everything. It was crazy, man. I didn't know that I was joining airborne school until I was at airborne school. I was like, what the fuck is this?
What was it like that very first jump? Like, walk us through it. Approaching the open door and jumping. Like, what goes through your mind?
Dude, I was nerve wracked, man. I didn't want to. I closed my eyes as soon as because I had to get pushed. I closed my eyes and I was like, oh shit. Luckily, we're on static line, so the parachute opened. I didn't have to do any of the cigarette rolls, fucking spread because we were still flying. At the time, it was T10s. The T10, so it was risers. You didn't have the toggles, the T14 toggles. It was nuts, man.
Does the fear get any less with your last jump from your first?
No, man, no.
Yeah, I don't imagine it does.
I remember, and this is apples and oranges, obviously, Jose. But when I went to SWAT school, one of the things that we have to do is we have to rappel off of a high tower, and I can't remember what the height was. I don't know, Ryan, maybe like 25 feet. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 stories, something like that.
Yeah,
it's high, but it's not super, super high. And, we all had to rappel off of that tower. And one of the guys, he was so afraid of going over that he shit his pants. But he still had to go over. Otherwise you fail. So yeah.
With shit pants.
What's that?
With shitty pants. That sucks.
Yeah. He went over with shitty pants. And I mean, he did it, but, yeah. And to be honest, I'm not, the last few years, all of a sudden I got this fear of heights, and I've never had it before. And it just hit me one day, and I don't like heights, but it never bothered me before. But I went on a hot air balloon a couple years ago, and my fucking knees were shaking, man. Like my knees were weak, and my stomach was hurting, and just I guess the fear like consumed me or something. The thought of dying in the balloon, falling down.
You know what's interesting, bro? Because I've been on hot air balloon rides and I'm fine. I super copacetic. I've actually done skydives post-military. But if you tell me to climb on my roof, my knees shake, dude.
Really?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I know I could PLF off the roof and I'll be fine, but I think it's a fear that's gonna hurt. Like, fuck, man, I'm 40 plus years old and it's gonna hurt.
It's gonna hurt bad.
You know what I think masks some of the
Whiskey?
of the fear, I guess. Well, definitely whiskey. Is the fact that there's a bunch of you there, right? So I would venture to bet that whenever you jumped out of an airplane, that you never jumped out alone. There's
you didn't want to be
right in front of you. They're like, let's go, dude. Next, so I think that brings a little bit of comfort. Mr.
Yeah,
David.
actually, that's so true because like you put on a face too. You're like, oh yeah, let's do this. You're like hyping yourself up. Let's do this.
Exactly.
And inside, dude, I was petrified all the time. Man. Every time I was like, oh come on, let's just nix this. Let's just chalk it. Let's just chalk it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to move into something a little different here, Jose. As I was snooping around your website, warriordogspirits.com. You have a little bio on there, which I thought was really, really interesting. Some of the stuff you talked about, but one of the things you mentioned is that at some point in your life, you were living out of your car,
Yeah.
and I'm curious to know is what kept you going, like what kept you you're you got a master's, and you're in your doctoral program now for finance. What you went from living in a car at one point in your life to gonna have a PhD. Where did the strength come from?
During that transitioning, that tough transitioning out of the military, where that I think they call it moral injury, or they call it whatever it is they call it. The separation out of the military, knowing that you left a lot of people that you cared about behind, a lot of people that you fought with behind, and you're going about your day perfectly fine. You'll especially because I knew that my unit, when I left a couple months after I left, my unit got deployed again. So it's for a lot of your viewers that have been in the military and have separated, that in and itself is part of your PTSD trauma. That separation, that you left a lot of people behind, and you think that you're a shitbag because you no longer wanted to be in the military, you no longer wanted to serve because you had other plans, and you feel like a shitbag because they continue on with the mission, and you no longer have yours.
Sure.
And you have to find a new purpose, new mission in the civilian life. And although I figured out a way, or I found some sort of comfort in continuing going to school, because when I was in a classroom, although I was either high or drunk most of the time when I was in class, I found some sort of solace where I didn't have to think about all of this other stuff. All I had to do was focus on a book. All I had to do is focus on this particular problem, whatever it was that was presented to me by that particular course. But then I left the course and I drowned it in other things. Anyways, the reason why I ended up in my car was because I had a substance abuse problem and an alcohol problem. And this is not to say that my family closed their doors on me. This is not to say that my family rejected me because of what had happened to me, because they always had their doors open. My mother never rejected me coming home, even if I was shit-faced. But I felt ashamed going in through those doors, high, drunk. So I opted for my car. I opted for park benches. I opted to live elsewhere. And but even through that, I never missed a day of class. I actually used to sleep in the parking lot of my undergrad school at times, just so that I wouldn't miss class.
how are you able to overcome the substance abuse or the substance dependency? Because as we both know, there are many of our brothers that are still dealing with this issue today, that have served with us, that have went before us and have went after us, and are dealing with the substance abuse right now, and they're still caught up in that, and they feel like there's no way out. So what could you tell them? Like, what's your advice on what was successful for you? What worked for you?
You got to find your why. You got to find your purpose. I have a buddy of mine that him and I were in the trenches of substance abuse together. He was a Marine Corps vet, and he happened to have found God in the process. For some folks, that's your path. For me, it happened to be academia. It happened to be asking for help. That I when I hit rock bottom, I realized that I needed help. So I sought out the VA. I was in the domiciliary for a while at the VA for rehab. And I also got connected with an organization that provided a service dog for me. My dog saved my life through an organization called Pets for Vets. Mm-hmm. During that time, dude, it was like, I mean, even though I went through some struggles when I got him, it was like a light switch with me. When my dog was around, it was like I have to focus on him. Like I have to, because I saw his demeanor change when I was depressed, when I was going through my shit. His demeanor changed, and he would be trying to comfort me all the time.
Right.
100% of his energy was focused on me when I was depressed, when I was down, when I was in the dark. 100% of his energy was focused on me. And I started realizing that if I continue taking his energy like this, I'm not going to have him around for a long time.
Right.
And yeah, my dog, that organization, my dog saved my life, because it was at a time where I was at my lowest. I actually wrote a book called Warrior Dog Spirit about my dog. And I know that when you mentioned the intro about my mom's resilience and her humility, just the awesome person that she was. But everyone goes through their own mental struggles. My mom just committed suicide.
I'm sorry to hear that.
A month ago.
I'm sorry.
Wow, this is recent. I'm really sorry about that, brother.
But hey, I had reached that point when I got my dog. And for anyone watching, you just have to wait. Just wait one more day. One more day, man. If you're struggling, just think to yourself, I just gotta hang on for one more day. And something's gonna happen. I'm telling you. Just wait for one more day. And if that next day comes and you're like, just one more day, something will happen, man. And that's why I started Warrior Dog Whiskey. Because we got to be able to tell these stories, canines and service dogs that that do a lot for us, a lot, and they have been doing it for centuries, man. They have saved countless lives, and I want to be able to tell these stories. Like our first bottle on our whiskey is Sergeant Stubby, one of the most historically known dogs of that's Sergeant Stubby, one of the most well-known dogs in history. Saved countless lives in World War One. But each bottle that we bring out, or when we bring out other bottles, each bottle is going to be representing a dog that has saved lives. And I want to reach a point where we're telling these type of stories through our bottles. Each bottle is going to tell a different story, different saved life. And anyways, man.
Jose, I know a little bit about service dogs. We have a lab at our police station that we use for comfort situations, but I'm still kind of unfamiliar with it all. So like with your dog, kind of explain to me, when you're at your deepest, your darkest thoughts, can he sense that? Is it when he kind of moves in on you, or how does that work?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was crazy how he knew especially when I was having nightmares at night, he would sit on my chest. Like I'll be straight up on the bed, and he'd just come on, and like I'm drenched in sweat, and he would just come on top of me and, you know, provide that barrier, that comfort, that hug while I was sleeping, or even if I woke up and I saw him on my chest. It was
That's amazing. Is it based on their physiological responses that you have that they pick up on, or how does that work?
I wish we had a Clarissa Black, which is the owner or the founder of Pets for Vets. She would be able to tell you how they trained those dogs for those particular responses. But yeah, to be honest with you, sir, I don't know. I don't know how Pets for Vets did it. Yeah.
I could add just a little bit of insight, only because one of the episodes we did in our last season, we interviewed the founder of Working Dogs for Warriors. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them, Jose.
Yeah.
Ryan, I know your wife is affiliated with them. And we interviewed one of the recipients as well. It was both of them, and he brought in his service dog. And it was actually a really emotional podcast because he started, talking about a lot of his traumas. He had retired from the fire department, retired veteran, and he was explaining I guess the mechanics, if you will, behind it. And the dog is trained. I guess they can sense and smell and I could be wrong, but this is roughly about what he told me. So for those that are experts in it, forgive me if I sound ignorant, but the cortisol levels, like the dog's able to smell that when you stress more, the body emits a certain type of odor. So the dog's able to detect that because they have a million times better scent than a human does, and as a result of that, the dog can sense that. So it's trained under those circumstances to go and provide like emotional support. Like we go lay next to him, and it lets the vet know that someone is there for them, and they're not alone, and somebody cares about them. And it's really amazing because if you don't understand it, you kind of think like, how does a service dog work? You just, but when you actually listen to the stories behind it, and like Jose is saying too, it's really powerful. Like it's really, really powerful to listen to these people that have these service dogs, that these dogs, and I mean, Jose can attest to this, that has saved their lives just by their mere presence. I mean, like I said, this guy from Working Dogs for Warriors was telling us how without his dog, he wouldn't be around, but because of his dog, it's saved him from, doing something that we try to fight and try to advocate that people don't do. So yeah, it's very powerful. So when you tell your story about that, Jose, it really resonates with me because I remember that podcast and how powerful it was.
It is, bro. I can attest to it, man. And the organization that I was part in has countless stories, and with Warrior Dog Spirits, we want to be able to tell those stories and canine stories, and with first responders, and I don't think we hear them enough, man. And if we can highlight them, especially with something as relaxing as a glass of whiskey, and you're telling a story, is just I think it's a perfect vehicle, man.
Yeah. How do you choose? These canine heroes? How do you research them? How did you find Sergeant Stubby, and where do you find these things at?
I did some research online. I wanted to go back as far as we could in history. Actually, Sally's Bourbon, which is our next bottle of whiskey that's coming out next year, is Sally's Bourbon. Sally was actually part of the Civil War, and there's a monument in Philadelphia about Sally. Her full name is off the top of my head, but there's a lot of cool stories out there, and it was just one of those days that I was like, I wanted to memorialize what my dog did for me in a way that I know similar dogs have done for many other people.
Mm-hmm.
And my passion for making whiskey and my passion for drinking whiskey kind of just merged together. And I was like, what better way to tell a story? Like you loosen up and you can tell better stories when you're a glass deep in a whiskey.
Absolutely.
I'm not advocating out there that you need to be like 5 drinks deep and then start telling your life story. Then no. Sip your glass, tell a story.
Well, Jose, when we started this podcast out, we got here through trials and tribulations, if you will. About the podcast, we tell them don't listen to the first 5 episodes because we would go through an entire bottle, and by hour and 30 minutes we were drunk. And I think that's not the message that we're trying to send out to people, but a lot of it had to do with the more we started talking, the more our own traumas were coming out, and a lot of us cope with it through this means. And we didn't want to send that message out. We wanted to let people know that there's other outlets for it. We do, limit it to like a glass, maybe 2 on the podcast, but that's it. And we find that it only takes a glass or 2 to really get the vocals a little bit loosened and, have good constructive conversation. With that being said, Jose, we are Whiskey and War Stories. So whenever you get your bottles out, we would be more than happy, Ryan and I, to taste them and sample them for you and critique.
Brother, I'm gonna have. I got to count it out because I know we're keeping the first bottle just for our collection because our first generation comes out in the late month of November. Mm-hmm. So everybody keep a lookout. I know that we're coming out of Big Bear, so you'll find them mostly in Big Bear. But you'll be getting our 4th bottle because we have 3 investors. So
nice.
I promise you our 4th bottle to Warrior Whiskeys and War Stories. Our 4th bottle of our line.
You got that, Ryan, right?
I'm remembering. Don't forget that.
No, I'll be signed with. You guys definitely, brother. You can get it. And for people watching this, when I talk about recovery from substance abuse, and then we're coming on about a podcast talking about owning a whiskey company and drinking whiskey in front of y'all. Recovery is tough. Recovery is a long, long road, and it's a continuous road. And the way that I happen to have overcome that particular beast was I didn't like the AA rendition of recovery and relinquishing control and stuff. But if it works for you, it works for you. That's awesome. But particularly for me, it was taking control of my own life, taking control of my own abuse and what I had given control to. So that's how I can come on this podcast, and that's how I can own a whiskey company. That's how I can, because I happen to really take the reins of my life and take control of what this particular thing that thought had control over me. So,
Jose, to be quite frank with you, I'm really shocked that you volunteered to come on the podcast in light of the tragedy that you just experienced with your mother. I apologize if I know it's still a very, very fresh subject, but so many of our brothers and sisters that that we're trying to touch, even if it's one person, that are in really low places or maybe rock bottom right now. How do you cope with that grief right now? I mean, your mother didn't pass away from cancer or natural causes. It's suicide. That's something so extremely traumatic, and someone like yourself that's a war veteran that already experienced trauma and at one point lived out of your car, and you had your service dog that helped you, and then now this happens in your life. How are you able to cope with that?
Well, before we jumped on the podcast, I told you that I just had my second child a month ago, a week after my mother passed, and that stay afloat. That's helped me a lot.
Your audio cut out, so the last thing we heard is that before you said you and I were talking before the podcast, and then your audio cut out.
Yeah, so I just had a baby. My wife and I just had our second child, so that's helped a lot with coping, or at least redirecting my attention towards something else. My son has helped a lot, and then I also have a 21-month-old baby, so she takes up a lot of my energy. I do find myself wishing that my mother was still around so that she can watch them grow up, and I wishing that they would have been enough for her to stick around. But we can't judge anybody for their actions because we don't know what they're going through.
Were there any factors that you?
That's what I was going to bring up right now. Is that I think that I was too focused on my own recovery that I neglected to see the red flags, or so and if my sisters watch this podcast, I'm sorry. I was too self-involved in my own shit that I couldn't figure it out. So the reason why I came on this podcast is because of that exact reason. You guys, I also researched what the podcast does and how much your audience, how far your audience reaches. And yeah, I did it for her. I did it for myself. I did it for. It isn't easy, bro. It isn't easy to be here. And because I continue to be a jokester, I try to make light of things. But yeah, I wanted to come on here so that people know that, yeah, everyone goes through struggles, everything, you know, and everyone has their own cross to bear, their own demons to fight. And my biggest message, man, is just one more day, man. Just hang in there one more day, because something will happen. Something will change. Something will change. You just got to hang in there one more day.
I was reading a book, David Goggins, one of his newer books, and he was talking about how hope is a catalyst to keep people hanging on. And there was an experiment where they had rats, and they put rats in water, and like after like 5-10 minutes, you know, they would die. But then there was a second third batch, where they would start pulling them out after, right when they're about to drown, they pull them out. And they found that those rats, they were eventually able to swim up to the top, up to like 60 hours. It was amazing. And what they're surmised, it was kind of hope, like you said, wait for another day. They had that hope that they were going to be rescued. And it kind of brings upon a superhuman strength to get them through that one day, one step at a time. So I definitely see some parallels in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting.
In retrospect, Jose, were there some red flags that you noticed that that you could tell us that maybe, you know, someone like myself can use going forward if I see, you know, I notice like employees or you know, friends of mine that suffer from PTSD, any signs that you may have noticed now looking back that maybe I could see in somebody and be like, okay, I think maybe this person needs help. Were there any signs that you see in retrospect?
In retrospect, man, there's actually a parallel in what my mother went through and what I went through in separation from the military. My mother was forced into retirement really early due to an injury. So she struggled finding purpose. She struggled with finding her place. And because and for your Hispanic viewers out there, your, you know, culturally Hispanic viewers, my mom was very traditional, culturally traditional Hispanic woman that rejected mental health support. And so if there is anything that I can learn from this, is to tell people that, like, if you do have somebody that's their whole identity or majority of their identity is their job, and that gets stripped from them, whether it's retirement, forced retirement, or separation by any other means, they're going to go through some very rough transition, an extremely rough transition, finding purpose, if their entire identity was that. That's why diversification of your identity it's extremely important. your identity, if you're like for you, y'all, if your entire identity is being a police officer, you're going to have an extreme time after retiring. If your entire identity is your boyfriend, girlfriend, your significant other, and that separation happens, you're going to have an extreme time from that transition. You need to diversify, just like your investments, just like in business, and you need to diversify your identity into family, friends, work, yourself, importantly yourself, and other things. Like, you need to create different types of pillars that hold up your identity, your pillars of your family, your work, your personal life, whatever it is, so that when one pillar collapses, you're not left out in the dark thinking that's all you were.
Well, what you said was super powerful. So, we've said over these episodes that we have like these whiteboard moments where people say stuff and they're like worthy of these whiteboard moments, and we had them like maybe a handful or two handfuls of time. And you said diversification of identity, and that's like a whiteboard moment for me. Because especially in our profession as well, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. It's called over identification. There's a book that we try to give all of our cops called Emotional Survival for Law Enforcement by Dr. Gil Martin. Dr. Gil Martin, right, Ryan? And one of the things it talks about is over identification, and we've talked about that over a number of episodes. I don't think I've ever used the term diversification of identity or identification. I love that. I'm going to use that going forward. But we've talked about that, kind of dancing around that, like, don't just be a police officer, because a lot of cops, they eat, sleep, and shit being a police officer, and that's their life, that's their identity. And sometimes unfortunate things happen in life, or life happens and you get injured, you get hurt, the stresses of the job, something prevents you from remaining in law enforcement, or there's a lot of liability in our job, or you lose your job some way, shape, or form. You have put all of your coins in that one basket. You're right, when it's gone, or when you lose it, people have nowhere else to go. So, as far as diversifying yourself, your identity, man, that is so powerful. And that just, I mean, it really speaks volumes to, to what we're trying to preach. And I've actually never heard that term, but man, you hit it on the head.
I mean, I went to business school for my master's in finance and my Ph.D. in finance. It's you can apply all that into life, man. It's you if you want to make, like they'll tell you, if you want to make wealth, you have to diversify your investments, diversify yourself. Absolutely. But why doesn't that apply to life? And yeah, I figured that out pretty early on, after all of these fucking struggles, because I need to diversify when when I would lose my jobs, or when I lose a relationship or something, that I'm fine. And nowadays I'm pretty good. I mean, unless I like my kids or something, then the whole world is going
right
shit in a handbasket.
So
But
I got a powerful question to ask you, Jose, and I'm going to ask you this because several episodes ago, a therapist that we had on asked me this same question, and I was a bit perplexed with her question, but it hit me hard. in the days following. Are you proud of yourself for what you've done, Jose? And do you love yourself for where you are?
I think the question, it cut off a little bit. Are you asking if I'm proud of?
Yeah. Are you proud of where you've come? And do you love yourself for what you've done? Have you given yourself grace and credit?
No, no. The answer is no. I don't think I've done enough.
And if you don't mind me asking, why do you say that?
I've done a lot of dumb shit in my life. I've hurt a lot of people in my younger times in my military career. I struggle a lot with things I've done that I still can't reconcile. Yeah, I struggle with reconciliation. So no.
Sometimes speaking for myself, it's, I found that when I take a step back and get out of my own little bubble and I look at the big picture, it helps me understand my successes in life, because people like us, far too often we don't give ourselves credit. And what I see, Jose, is I see um, an immigrant that was living in his car that joined the military service and became an Army veteran and served our country, served it proudly, struggled with substance abuse, found coping through education, um, uh, got his undergrad, his master's degree, and something that only, I believe, 3% or less of Americans, 3% or less of Americans have a PhD, pursuing a PhD, and not just pursuing a PhD, but also started, the founder of Warrior Dog Spirits, that's honoring vets and canines, and just really giving back to the community. Um, you know, uh, someone that's on the outside looking in.
Nah,
Man,
Jamie.
what a testament, brother. Like, honestly, what a testament. And the reason I say this to you is because when this therapist had told me this, I laughed at her when she had asked me that question. And I said, no, I've never told myself that I love myself. And, it seems silly to me. She's like, all right, well, just try it one day. So I remember after that episode, I went home and there's a big mirror in my room. And I've said this, I think, on one or two episodes before, but I walked past this mirror and I went to my bathroom and go freshen up or whatever. And I'm like, I walk past my mirror and I kind of like look back because it's a really tall mirror. I look back in this mirror and I'm looking at myself and I'm by myself at home. And, I walked in front of the mirror and I told myself, I'm like, you know what? I love you. And I did by myself in the darkness. And man, it just hit me. Like, man, I got super emotional because I think for the first time I meant it. Like, I really I meant it, that I was proud of myself for where I had become in life. Right. And whatever that meant to me. Um, and when I did that, man, something happened to me. Like, I don't know if there was like weight that was lifted off of me or something, but a lot of times we don't recognize, our own accomplishments. And I think that's by design sometimes, because it makes us feel like, we're too, we're bragging about ourselves or something. But
Boastful, or it's, I don't know, man. Ask me on my deathbed. I'll let you know.
well, I mean, you know what? You're certainly a success story, brother. And honestly, you're on a ladder, and you know, you're you keep walking up. So for that, It's definitely a testament to a lot of our brothers out there that are having brothers and sisters that are going through a lot of struggles. And especially for someone like you, we've never had someone on the podcast that has something so fresh and so real so soon and be on the podcast 4 weeks later talking about it. Man,
right now when you mentioned the ladder, I don't know if you've seen that film by Charlie Chaplin back in the old days where he's climbing up this ladder, right? And he's like, this ladder just standing upright, and he's like trying to maintain balance because he's all the way up in this particular ladder, or he'll fall. That's how I feel, bro. Like I'm trying one step at a time, trying to climb this vertical ladder and maintain balance. But at any moment, I know that it's going to collapse. So it's, but along the way of this particular climb, I want to help as many people as I possibly can, as many veterans as I possibly can. And I'll leave here happy. Maybe it was still an answer to no to that question, but I'll at least I can say that I tried. I want to be able to say that I tried.
And honestly, I think that's all anybody could ask for, you know? Yeah, that's all anybody could ask for.
But to give you credit, I'll try that. I'll try, because I hate looking at myself in the mirror, man. I fucking hate it.
So do I.
No, I'll try it, man. I'll give it a try, and I'll text you, and I'll let you know, like, hey, I don't like it. I got emotional or some shit. I don't know.
You know, I'm curious. So you're pursuing your PhD in finance. How does your academic work intersect with like your mission to support veterans? Like
the biggest thing that I could say is that my mission, my pursuit of my academic career is merely for a title, so that when I come on these things, or when the company posts about our company, or you know, other veterans can see and say, you know what, this dumb shit did it. He was living out of his car. Like, I could do it. And I'm not the smartest at all, dude. I struggle with academia. I have to read things like 3-4 times, like David Goggins mentioned. Like, I don't know if I have dyslexia or something, but I have to read things over and over all the time, man.
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
Same.
but I don't quit, man. I don't have a quit.
That's awesome, man. You know, I you know, someone like yourself definitely has a PhD in life. You know, has lived through the ups and downs, and through every up and down, you know, you still manage to crawl your way down somehow.
If I could tell you my coming to this country story, dude, I would, but it was also a doozy.
We're all ears.
No, I'll leave. Well, yeah, I'll leave it for another podcast. It's strange.
So, as far as warrior dog spirits, you've kind of told us, you know, what the reason is behind it. Do you have any business principles that you follow that you encourage other veteran-owned businesses to use, like any business principles, and how are you applying that to your warrior dog spirit? I mean, it could be one of many things.
The major one is I don't take a salary. My biggest value is giving back. Everything that every sale that we make is to give back to the veteran community. I don't take a salary. Not that I don't need it. It's just I don't. And do it with the purpose. Whatever you do, whatever it is that you do, if you're going to become an entrepreneur and you're going to start a business, do it with the purpose. The purpose to help your community, help. You know, we happen to have done this for the veteran community and the first responder community because that's what we resonate with.
Right.
But if you're starting a business to do X, Y, and Z, do it with the purpose.
Yeah.
That's our biggest value. And our biggest value proposition is its purpose. Doing things with the purpose.
That's amazing business principle. And, you know, honestly, I think that it doesn't just apply to just the veteran and first responder population, but I think if any business follows that principle, you know, it certainly will lead to a path of success. You know, at least I would think so. I wanted to ask you a question.
You do have to have a little bit of business acumen, or
Sure,
you know,
of course.
but yeah, like you mentioned, if you do anything with the purpose, it's going to be done right.
Yeah. What's your legacy, Jose? What do you want people to know about you? What do you want them to remember you for? What do you want to leave behind? Like, what is your legacy?
That I don't have a legacy. My children are my legacy, but I want the company that I leave behind, the companies that I leave behind, because this isn't going to be my only venture. I mean, it hasn't been my only venture. 10 Hut was my first venture. This is a passion venture. The next is I want to start a venture capital company so that I can invest in veterans that want to start out their own business. But I don't want to leave a legacy. I want my companies to leave a legacy, and that's helping our veteran community and our first responder community. Because
yeah, grateful. I wish there was more businesses like yours out there. You know, for sure.
yeah, and this isn't just a marketing gimmick. You can look it up. I don't take a salary. You can look that shit up. So,
well, to piggyback off that, you know, I guess right now is the perfect time to talk about it since you kind of said that. You know, we're actually having an Instagram live raffle in about 38 minutes.
oh yeah,
And, you know, I know when we talked, you said that you wanted to raffle off 2 separate items to our followers, you know, most of which are veterans and first responders. You know, and when we talked about it, you said just as a way of giving back. You know, we never talked about the marketing aspect or, you know, followers. It was about just giving back. And 2 of the things that you're raffling off to, you know, 2 lucky followers out there. You know, here's one. It's a dog harness. Now, you're in the whiskey business and you're in the business of dog equipment and stuff.
well, this is more of a. We just want to merchandise so that because we're in the business of telling dog stories.
Sure.
You know, what better way to share those stories if you're properly fitted for a dog harness, your dog is properly fitted for a dog harness. So yeah, I don't know. We wanted to give back to the dogs too.
Awesome. And then
these, they don't just come in OD green. There's also black, camo, desert.
And where could they go to purchase this? This is through warriordogspirit.com?
Yeah, you can go to warriordogspirit.com. If you don't win it today, you can always purchase it. We're also going to be at Oktoberfest in the first 2 weekends of September and the last weekends of the Oktoberfest, which is November 1st and 2nd and November 8th.
Big Bear?
Big Bear City at the convention center in Big Bear.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be up there. We'll have a booth.
Awesome.
And you can purchase them there at a discount.
All right. And here's the second item. This is a tactical AirTag dog collar. If you have an air tag, or you could purchase an air tag and pop it right in here, and you could track your dog basically.
Air tag not included.
Yeah, air tag not included, but you get it's a high quality dog collar air tag equipped.
Yeah.
So again, just like another example of you guys kind of giving back to to the community. So we're grateful for that. So as we start to kind of wrap up the podcast, any closing words, anything that you could tell Jose, any veterans or first responders, or maybe people even looking to go in the military, any advice that you can give them to be successful? And
I always give this advice. My niece wanted to go into the military a while ago, and the first advice that I give them is go to school. If you still decide to go into the military, which is an amazing option, I have zero regrets.
Yeah.
But at least you would be going into it as an officer, and you get paid a little more. Like I don't shun people away from the military, man. It gave me a direction that I don't think I would have had if I didn't join. I think by now, I think I would have been either dead or still a gang member somewhere in Baldwin Park or Southgate.
Wow.
Yeah, the best advice or the advice that I give all the time is go to school, get your bachelor's, and if you still have that itch to go into the military, then do it, but do it as an officer.
Smart. Yeah, I always wish I would have went back and I would have done it differently. But at that time too, like you said earlier in the podcast, I was never someone of academia. I always told myself, I'm going to be in the military and then I'm going to be a police officer, and that's it. School's not for me. I'm not the smartest type of guy, and I got to read things and see things 10 times before I get it. But through my career, I've met people like Ryan. Ryan is a bachelor's degree, a dual master's, and has encouraged me to stick with school. And I'm currently going after my second master's degree because of people like Ryan, and also people like yourself now that I look at you and I'm like, God damn, I'm behind the curve now.
No, not at all, dude. I started late too, man. But
never too late, brother.
Yeah. Congratulations, man, on going for your second master's, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to catch up to Ryan here. I obviously won't ever get at your level, but I think I could probably catch up to Ryan at some point in my career. So
PhD is not that far from a second master's, dude. It's not that. I looked at it when I was going for my second master's. I looked at PhD and the work that you put in for a PhD. I was like, at this stage of my life, I'm okay with 2 masters.
Yeah.
So I went for the 2 masters.
You know what? When I had started my finance doctoral program, and then in finance, and then I started a graduate program over at Claremont College for a PhD in organizational behavior, and so I wanted to do like a dual PhD, dude. Yeah.
Wow.
Jose, when you were talking about how you have to read things over and over, it resonated with me because I'm the same way, and I saw Jaime nodding as well. But throughout my whole collegiate career, I'd be reading, and then literally 10 minutes into it, it's like you're thinking about your day, like, what did I read? Oh man, I have to go back, read it again. So kind of refreshing and funny to hear you say that. But it's hard work. It could be hard work, but it's also a mental approach. Some of my friends say like, well, I didn't go to school. I'm not big on school. I don't like school. And my response is, you think I like school? I don't.
Nope. I mean, I say that I like school because it kept my mind occupied off of other things, but I really don't like academia. Because I have to. There's extra steps, especially when you're older. I'm in my early 40s, and there's extra steps that you have to do. And I was going to tell you, Jaime, like when you're studying, try to work out at the same time, man. Work out at the same, like do some sort of exercise. Like, it helped me a lot, dude. When you're, studying for some, midterm or something, and this might seem stupid, but chew gum at the same time with the same flavor. And then when you're taking workout, chew gum, and the same flavor that you're chewing, take the exam, the midterm final, the same flavor, because it helps. It brings back like those
association memories. I heard about that.
Association.
Well, that makes sense, because it takes me so damn long to learn something that if I start working out between, I'm probably gonna be a fit ass, like, because it just
do it, bro. Do it for the gains. But the mental gains, that's what it's like.
Yeah, I like it. And honestly, before I used to say, I used to encourage people at work to go after their degrees, and I said, you get paid more money. You have a degree, you get paid more money. But now that I'm a little bit older, I look back and the pay isn't comparable to the degree. But it's not about that now. It isn't about getting the extra $90 a paycheck or whatever it is we get for having a master's degree. It's about the accomplishment. It's about doing it for yourself. It's about the hard work, dedication, to it, and also showing people, like, you both have children, that you're able to do that. You're able to, and studies have shown, there's statistics out there that when parents have an academic background, that it really encourages their children to go through and get an academic background. And I'm the first to say that having a bachelor's and a master's, even a PhD, it don't make you a genius, because I know some dumb people that got master's degrees.
Bro,
but there's this, there's a certain amount of dedication that when somebody has a master's degree, I'm always impressed by it. I'm like, I run across very few people that have doctorates, so it's very impressive. But more often masters, and I'm like, man, I'm impressed by that. It's a level of dedication and rigor and commitment.
At this level, so my master's, I finished it because my sister's kids were young, and I was like, you know what, I want to walk across that stage and show my sister's kids, what this feels like, what a master's, getting hooded and everything, it's like. And they were in high school, and it was phenomenal for them. It was super cool, and and now that I have kids, because I've been wanting to quit for a while, I want to do it for my kids, so that when my kids are, I won't finish till probably about 2028, 2029, depending on the research. I want to do it for my kids, so that when my kids see me walk up on that stage and put on that cap, it is like, oh shit,
right?
It's awesome.
That dumbass did it. It's so they can see that type of ceremony, and they want to have that same feeling on that stage. Encourage.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jose. Ryan, you have any closing words as we're coming to an end here?
Very inspirational, your Jose's story, man, from living in a car, and even though you said you had substance abuse and alcohol abuse, it's like you were still functional. You still went to school. You still had the drive to make it happen. Just hearing your story was really impactful for me. The main thing that stuck with me was when you said, when you're at your deepest, darkest moments, I'm going to assume suicidal thoughts. You told yourself, let's hold on for one more day. What's the next day going to bring me? And I think, life is like a book kind of, and you're probably waiting for that one more page to turn. What's on that next page that I'm not seeing now, right? What will tomorrow bring? Will tomorrow bring that one moment that changes everything? And that's kind of what you were holding on for. I think if that message gets out to people and they think of it that way, I think that's very impactful. One day at a time. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yeah.
You've done some amazing stuff. I don't even know you. I'm so proud of your journey and for your degrees. For your kids alone is just amazing. A business owner, very well spoken. You're one of those guys that is well educated, and you don't come off like you're a prick. Very humble. So you're definitely the kind of guy that I would associate with, and I'd love to in the future. And
I was actually talking to Jaime about because we have a commercial coming up, and hopefully we can use some of your K9 units for that commercial. So hopefully I get to meet you all in person and do that commercial with y'all and your K9 units. That'd be amazing, man. But back to what you had mentioned about the rats on the pot. I've heard the analogy before, but it stuck with me today. That yeah, we just have to wait. Hope is what.
You freeze again?
It was so impactful that it froze him.
Yeah, it's so impactful that it froze.
I think it's back.
No. It's
still so impactful it froze again. Let me see if I can.
His face is overcome with being impacted. There we go. You were talking about the rats in the pot, and that's when you kind of froze.
Yeah, you froze after that.
No, yeah, I was just mentioning that it resonated with me again that we just have to wait for one more day. That's it.
Definitely
awesome. In closing, yeah, I think Ryan stole the words right from my mouth. But you said two things: one more day, and I understand that as hope. One more day, hope. Hope is always there; it always exists. Give yourself another chance and give yourself grace, and then obviously, the diversify. Your identity, but you came from, in a sense, you started off at the bottom and rose to the top, and the most humbling part about it is, you don't beat your own drums, Jose. You don't got a big head about it. As a matter of fact, in talking to you, it seems like you still feel like you're not doing enough. For someone like myself, it's always I'm always blessed to meet somebody like you and hear your story of like perseverance. That's the literal meaning of perseverance and resilience. Immigrant living in a car, substance abuse, the service, dealing with post-traumatic stress, and going to school, and not just going to school, but going to the very furthest you can go with a degree, and then still experiencing trauma, but knowing that you still have something to live for. You have a newborn at home, and a brand new whiskey company that's still out there supporting veterans and canines and first responders. If you feel like you're not doing enough, then shit, man, I don't even know where I stand.
Bro, you all, man, y'all are doing. I'm trying to catch up to you guys, man. I'm not kidding, man. When I separated out of the military, everyone was like, "Why won't you join the law enforcement?" Because I'm fucking tired of doing. I'm tired of doing what I used to do. And then you guys get out of the military, and then you continue to do what we used to do in the civilian life with actual dumb shit. It's crazy, dude. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek was on an aircraft with a doctor that was also a doctor in the civilian life, and he's like, "What was the difference between being a doctor in the civilian life and being a doctor in the military?" And he said, "The dumb shit. In civilian life, you have to deal with the dipshit." So you went from dealing with honorable people to dealing with dipshits. Dude, I commend y'all, man. It's a different animal, man. And I'm trying to reach you guys' level, man.
Yeah,
But,
no, I mean, we're grateful, and honestly, you're the exact person that we look to have on this podcast, because we say this over and over again, but what you said today, if one person listens to this and it helps just one person, just one, it's a win. It's a win, because we saved one person, and if we could save one person every time, maybe it starts to grow. It starts to grow teeth. It starts to grow branches, and the word spreads, and that's what we're doing. So what you've said, I'm certain will help somebody somewhere that we don't know, we haven't talked to, but your words will reach them, and we pray that it'll help them out. So, brother, we're so grateful for you. Thank you for everything. Godspeed on your journey as you continue your degree, and again, we'll say prayers for your family for the tough time that you're certainly going through right now. Any closing words, brother?
no, I think I've said I've said enough, man. I've taken up the mic too much. But I appreciate it a lot, man. A whole lot. And if anybody wants to reach out, anybody that listened to the podcast and then they're going through their own dark places, and dude, I'm open, man. That just go on our website. My actual personal number is on our website. You can reach out to me, or I look at our email all the time. Just reach out, man. I don't mind. I don't mind taking calls or emails.
Thanks, Jose. And as we close up, remember, if you're looking for maybe dog harness, good quality, a collar, or eventually, if you're looking for a really good bottle of whiskey, go to warriordogspirit.com, and you'll find what you're looking for there. So remember, every story shared on Whiskey and War Stories is a reminder that strength isn't just about surviving. It's about speaking up, breaking the silence, and finding connection in chaos. If you felt the weight of your own stories, know this: you're not alone. There's power in vulnerability, and healing starts with conversations. Thanks for listening. If this episode moved you, share it, and don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. We're on Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, and Amazon Music, because these stories really deserve to be heard. Stay safe, stay grounded, and keep telling your story. We'll be here, whiskey and war stories in hand, always ready to listen. Thanks, boys.
Good night.
Take care.
Oh.